So before we get too far into things tonight, I I wanted to point out one funny little thing about game development that I've noticed. There's a certain file type, and you get used to seeing this too if you work in RPG Maker like I have, but if you look in the folder for Dreamcrafters after downloading it off the website, you get this little file called copy_abilities.json. Now, like I said, you encounter that a lot depending on the type of program you're working on, but I swear, every time I see that, all I can think of is, Jason! And now you won't be able to get it out of your head either. Welcome, welcome, one and all. Welcome to the Dreamcrafter Showcase, part of Sage 2019. I, of course, am Whatthefnu, and as the developers have so very kindly told us in the corner here, this is just version 0.1.2a, the latest version that was actually sent to me by a member of my own community. And they have warned you straight up. Expect bugs. Last night we actually played through the original Kirby's Adventure just to get some inspiration here. Just jumping right into it, huh? No tutorial or anything? So, okay, the first step here, before we do anything else, is we need to figure out... I'm going to approach this the same way I would any game development project, which is I'm going to start with just a basic little test room, and from there, I'm going to start putting together... casino tiles, all... You'll be the tutorial? Alright, so let's say I wanted to build just a standard little test room here. Sup, Cabby Ribby? Everybody say hi. That is the person who has, who sent this to me in the first place. The member of my community, been a part of the community for, oh geez, how long has it been now? Who convinced me to do this in the first place? Alright, so... we've got Kirby, we've got a basic little floor to work with. Essentially what I'm going to be doing... build above the black bar? Black bar. Oh, I see. Okay, right-click is to remove things. Got it. Is there maybe a README in the game folder itself? Yes, there is, in fact. So we've got a whole bunch of controls here I could work with. Play mode, edit mode. G is to test the level immediately, or return to edit mode at any time. B is to change our selection mode. Alright, so let's see what that does. Is that to, before anything else, though? Sound down just a little standard test room here that I can pit Kirby up against all of the different little elements here. Now that I've got some things to work with. Oh, it's a click and drag kind of thing if I'm in that mode. Gotcha. So if I wanted, I could just take Kirby and plop him up here. It starts you off right in the middle of the error, like some games do for whatever reason. What I'm really interested in is just, I want to play around with all of Kirby's abilities. Like, what's the most fun thing to do with the character? Oh my goodness, thank you. I have just noticed that he controls way better in this than he does in Kirby's Adventure. So that is a fantastic start. So it looks like there are barriers here. I can't go past that distance off to the side. Is there a way to make the level a little bigger? I just want to know for the future. F is object / tile fill. Interesting. So that would be, let's say I were to take the star blocks instead and put them up here. Would that mean the F? Or, no. Interesting. Fill. Because I'm doing it on empty space, and it doesn't add a whole bunch of them. I'm doing it over something that already exists. When I think fill, the first thing that comes to mind is a paint bucket. So it would fill up all of the selection that I've got here and nearby selections with the particular block that I've got selected at this exact moment. Okay, so, oh man, brief descriptions of what all of these elements are would be a nice touch. Because I can infer, because I've played enough video games, that maybe, let's say I were to place that block there, all of these are selection tools, so if I were to attach those to this, for instance, and layer those on top of that, I wonder why one overwrites the other, and I were to hop into gameplay. Does the slide still work the way it does before? No, I need a power of some sort. Or I could just do that. Sup, Blue? How are you doing today, buddy? It's one layer at a time, I guess. That'd be interesting to have a layer select tool as well. I really like the idea of playing around with the variables in this engine. I really like the idea of, hey, let's add new properties to a lot of the blocks that we're putting in here. Like, let's say I've got a selection, a little tower here to work with. Maybe I could take, instead of just making them bomb blocks, I could do something, because there are puzzles in Kirby that are the reverse of that. Is there a way to double bomb block? Like the trail will come back over again and refill in that platform? Or maybe there's something, it doesn't just get rid of them. Hang on a second, did you think of that? Let me just put some of these in the middle of nowhere by themselves. What does that do? Is it just there for show at that point, or? No, it just makes a little show of it, yeah. It doesn't create new blocks in that place. That's interesting. I love playing around with these kinds of things, like trying to explore all of the potential, all of the things that it's capable of. So, what's next? How about we start adding some enemies to the environment? After all, I think it's about time we start playing around with the different powers that Kirby could get, right? Interesting. So fire works a little differently here than it does in other ones. The flames travel out much farther than they do in Kirby's Adventure. Still not, try using the background tiles? Ah, I assume we've also got, we don't just have Cabby here. Casino tiles? Or do I have any other categories to work with? Maybe. What does that do, I wonder? Hold on, let me check the README really quick and double check that. I want to make sure I don't make too many mistakes here. I want to show that I'm actually trying to figure out how to do this properly. Also, welcome to the chat, Dark Saba. How are you doing tonight? The numbers are the layers. Interesting. So if yeah, look at that. So, So if I wanted, I could just, So what's the transparent tile in the corner for? But what if I, Yeah, there we go. Interesting. Oh, so it doesn't actually... now I'm starting to understand. It doesn't actually overwrite anything. It just, You can't add them one by one? Yeah. Oh, I'm just playing around with different things like... what actually looks good. I'm taking the whole selection because... yeah, I appreciate the advice. I appreciate you being here and telling me different things. Oh. Hang on, I'm trying to keep an eye on all the information in the background as well. And let's say... oh, it doesn't quite run flush, does it? I will admit, I haven't exactly, No, that doesn't, I was trying to make a little waterfall coming out of the background, but it doesn't quite work like that. If we do it like that... because if we run this level as is right now... that's a really cool touch, how if he lands from a jump like that, he'll just pose. That's very playful, it's very Kirby, I enjoy that a lot. Now, how do I make this background look... you know what, let's not worry about it this exact moment. Let's not show off the... I want to make sure that I've designed a good level. We'll add all of the little touches and different details later on. For now, I just want to design a level. I want to play around with all of the different mechanics we're working with here, and we'll design a level around that. What makes sense? What complements, like, maybe I want to play around with fire, or maybe I want to... maybe I find that I like the ice power a little better. Yeah, let's play around with that. Let's do what I was discussing earlier, like last night, when we were playing through the original. Let's try all of the different powers that Kirby has. Let's find the one that we like the most, and we'll design a level around that. Hang on, let's just let that guy run around a little bit. Oh, so that guy provides an interesting little problem. Hold up, I want to design a little playground. I want to test something for that enemy. So if I were to create something like this, and let's move you up there. If I were to do that, would his waves travel? If he were to barf that out in the direction toward... no. It stops as soon as it hits a wall. It doesn't keep bouncing for a little while. So what you'd want to do to make that guy... you'd want to basically place him out of the way, as to slow down the player in such a way... if you want to design a fair level around this guy, you'd have to place him above the player so he's more difficult to deal with. You'd have to go through the trouble of actually hopping up and dealing with him that way. But enough of a... like, this situation right here, if I were to just load into the level immediately, you have enough time, even if you're rushing up there immediately, to get the idea of, okay, that's how that guy works. I understand everything I need to know about this enemy, and thus I can design the rest of the level around him, and it would be just fine. Yeah, so let's make it big enough that people could actually... he has both room to run around, so the player registers, okay, it's a moving enemy, and also enough space to see, hey, he spits something out that travels along the floor. Now, this is obviously a really tiny level to play with, or maybe I should change his initial position. And then... aha! It's a little difficult to catch depending on... is his movement random, I wonder? Yeah, there's no predicting what he's gonna do. A bit of an inconsistent element. He'll also just kind of spit out the wave in whatever direction he wants, won't he? He seems to want to spit it away from Kirby. Is it whatever direction he was moving in last, or... Alright, enough about that. Enough about the little blue dragon. We were supposed to be looking for powers, right? What? Okay, Sir Kibble has to have something, right? He has to give you the cutter power, correct? Yep. Look at that. It even goes behind you. Although no catching animation from Kirby. I kind of liked the fact that you had to specifically jump over the cutter for it to go behind you. Having it still have that ability to travel behind you no matter what almost feels like it's a little too powerful, because nothing's stopping me from keeping a good distance away from the enemy and just spamming boomerangs back towards them. Like, let's say Wispy Woods was back here. I could just sit in the corner of the screen and keep throwing boomerangs. There would be no skill element, no timing element, where I'd have to jump over it and then it would travel out over there. It's all about a risk-reward kind of thing. You get out of Kirby what you put into it most of the time. I mean, Cutter's all right. It seems like it's just fine, but what if... How does Spark feel? No Spark? Well, then how about, surely you have Yo-Yo, yes? Surely that's a part of all of this. Yeah! Now, is it as fun as it is in other games? Can I still do the breakdance? No, it doesn't seem like... Ah, there's my slide. I couldn't find it earlier. It's the power button this time, not the jump button. You can still go around the world at the very least. So if you have options both above you and in front of you. That's nice. Shared your link in Dreamcrafter's server. Oh, I greatly appreciate that. That probably explains why my numbers are so high right now. I know that's bigger than what my community's made out of. Do we have the laser power? Yeah, considering the focus of Kirby in general, it might be nice to separate the enemies based on whether or not they have powers. It creates separate categories for each of them. Now that we have the laser power, I can't help... Ah, that's just a big play button, okay. I can't help but wonder, terrain. So, do I have angles to work with? Slopes are in. Alright, so where do I find them? Those are platforms. Does it say in the README, perhaps? Save file, reload. Place object, flip object, pan camera, there we go. Wait a second, pan... Scroll with the middle mouse button. Okay, I'm gonna have to lock that in. Oh, I see. So... Oh, that's what dictates how big the level is. I get it now. I get it now. The lock symbol dictates, okay, so you cannot pass by this barrier. That's the wall that we've got. But anything else, that's all of the level you have to work with. Right? So, yeah, it'll still scroll. Pick the plateau tile, then scroll your mouse wheel. I see you've still got the enemies respawning kind of thing. Plateau tile. What, this one right here? Scroll your mouse wheel. Well, if that's not the tile I'm looking for, surely... There's another one. Green plateau. Oh, green plateau. Yes? No? Maybe? I'm sorry, I'm a little dense if you hadn't noticed. Or maybe this one. Ah, there we go. There we go. What was that flip button again? R. There we go. Right there. And... Ah, now it's just flipping back and forth forever. And these, yeah, they dynamically interact with one another. So they will just lock in immediately. That's good stuff. Dangers. Yikes. Aw, and he's gone now. You can't very well have that. What if I did what, this is a trick I learned from playing the game last night. The original last night, is maybe if I lock that guy away inside some terrain, perhaps he won't be so bad. Oh, no, he can just pass through collision. He's too inconsistent, isn't he? Like, laser's a fun power, but I'd have to place him a little farther back. And if people just don't grab him right away, what are we gonna do? I want to do one more test. I want to do just one more thing. And what if I... It seems when I, keep doing the middle mouse wheel after selecting that bit of terrain, it just keeps flipping the slope back and forth forever. Like I said at the very beginning of this, don't expect this to be absolutely perfect right now. It's more the concept I'm in love with than anything else. It's more the idea of, hey, this is what, this is something really cool that somebody in my community is working on right now. And maybe check it out if you can? Hold on. The true question. Do you have the broom power in this game? You do. That's something only fans would think to add. I could sweep you all to death. That's kind of like... Hang on, did you see that? Hold on, check this out. If I dash and I keep mashing the attack button, Kirby kind of sort of maintains his momentum a little bit. Or is that just sweeping in general? No, it depreciates pretty quickly, but there is something of a slide to work with when you're using this power. Oh. How about... What else we got? Is this guy Needle? Come here. Yep. Now, does it wear out if I keep holding the button? Does it wear off on its own, or can I just do that forever? No, I can just do that forever. And stick to whatever... The power for Kirby to stick to whatever platform he's currently on, because watch that, I fall the instant I let go of the button. I don't... maybe I'm just a little... Maybe I'm not very creative, but I can't think of an application for that. That can't just be solved by Kirby flying normally. There's no vertical problems. By the way, I want to double check. Does Kirby have a limit on how much he can fly in this engine? Or is that something I could set myself if I wanted? No, he definitely does. No animation to warn you that you're running out of breath yet, but I assume that's coming in a later version of the game. It's kind of interesting how it keeps track of how long it takes you to get through the level, too. So if you want to set a world record on the level, if you want to keep track of how long it takes you to get through, you can do that, too. So what's your gimmick? If I try to... Aha! I remember you. I had a feeling that was your bit. And if we throw a crab in there, maybe? A crab! I sort of miss the Kirby 64 element, and I know this isn't something you should be focusing on right now. But there was... Does anybody else remember the element of Kirby 64 where you could first pull in an enemy, and then if you pressed R, I believe, you could hold the enemy above your head, and some of them would do something? laser. How about you, Kiki? Do you give something? Alright, so I think what we have to work with, the general selection of powers that we've got to play around with right now is we can use fire, we have clean, cutter, yo-yo, needle, and fire. Out of all the ones that we've... and laser as well, but it's going to be very difficult to design a level around this enemy because he can ignore collision. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, I apologize, so... enemy carrying would be implemented later. Interesting. I didn't even realize you guys were considering something like that. So, out of all of these powers, which one do we like the most? Do we go with Yo-Yo for the cool factor? Do we go with Cutter just because, hang on a second. Oh! I didn't get that before. That's why he wasn't, I was wondering why this particular Sir Kibble was just sitting still, because he didn't have that flag turned on. So let's say I were to place another one. Yeah, look at that. One acts completely differently than the other. And one last thing that I want to test before we move too far. I want to test what happens if I... Okay, so one power will just take precedence over the others. You don't have mix implemented yet. Alright, so... Cutter Hatter. We've got Broom Hatter, Sir Kibble. No, Yo-Yo, Needle, and Fire. I'm thinking... Have you tried ability blocks yet? I didn't even realize that was a thing. That was a thing, Cabby. Screenshot room for level export. Other. Moonlight, what? Wait, what? Are we, Oh, this is music selection from when you actually start up the level, so... Hang on a minute. Serena... Say, Nutty New Nap. Yeah, it actually kicks in. The exact song. I would try to contact somebody... Now, if I were you, you don't want Nintendo to catch on to the fact that this project exists too quickly. I would find somebody to create... Not MIDI versions of these songs, but your own mixes. Like, recompose them in such a way that they won't trigger the YouTube bots and tip off somebody at Nintendo being like, wait a second, what's our music doing in this thing that kind of looks like one of our products, you know? So I'll just leave that on the editor music for now. Yeah, that is a very cool feature that you have that, though. Now, how do I access these, devices? Okay. What are ability blocks, out of curiosity? Are these ability blocks? Where do I find the ability blocks, Cabby? Out of curiosity. Do they just give you the powers when you walk over them? That would be way easier than having to futz about with the enemy. What the heck is that thing? Oh, I see. That is the ability block. So, let's say I were to take... say I were to take this guy and place him over the block? Would that give me his power when I touch it? Or... how do I do this? Hold on, let me check the readme again. Crouch, drop ability, escape pause. Use this, Is that laser, I think? Yeah, that's, clean bomb. Since when was bomb in this? Hold up. I want to test this now. don't hit it. It's not just touching the block that makes it happen. Forgive me, it's been a while since I've played these. This is a really cool, they break with their particular ability. Okay, that's what he was saying. So let's take an enemy that's nice and easy to play around with, and then let's have a big old barrier in the player's way that they can't get past without it. So nice. Oh, and you have the, if I'm dashing. Nice. Nice, I like that. I like that you've combined some of the abilities to make this... Wait a second. Wait a second. I just had an idea. Hold on. Hold on. My brain's starting to run. I think I can work with this. Let's make a fireball level. Let's make a level completely based around breaking those blocks and not... So, okay. Let's start Kirby off. Let's put a bit of a wall in front of him. So, first thing we establish, do you know how to jump? Okay, you have an essential skill. Then, we're going to put an enemy right there, as well as a little bit of a barrier for players to get over. Let's establish, hey, you have an enemy right in front of you here, and you have these blocks to work with. So yeah, you can just hop right through there. And then we can, now that everybody understands the core mechanics of what this level's all about, we can start to ratchet it up a little bit. So what's the natural evolution of, how do we take that a bit farther? What would require a bit more skill? Because I can think of all kinds of things to do with this. I can think of all kinds of different ways to play around with this mechanic. Like, let's say maybe I change this up. Let's move Kirby over here for now, because I've already established that this part of the level works. So let's put him in this spot, and let's also put another Drago right there. Just in case, we'll be nice to the player and say maybe... Yeah, so you'd have to, it'd be very hard to do this with just your, you'd almost activate the fireball just out of, completely by accident. Like, even if you're trying to just hit it with the normal fire breath, if you're running up there to try and get at the thing, you just activate the fireball and then you have the second skill. I'd essentially trick the player into learning how the power works, you know? Yeah. I can also ratchet up the difficulty a little bit by turning, it's a small little change, turning the enemy toward Kirby this time instead of away from him. And then we can place some more fire blocks. A nice wide little gap for people to try and get through here, you know? We're not asking pinpoint precision out of them yet. And so... And then you're right there. I should probably put a little item just on the other side of that for players, just as a, just as a small little reward, you know? It's like, hey, you figured it out. You've mastered the basic skills. And it's also a little bit of a break, too. Just give people a small little moment of, oh, cool, that's a tiny little item to collect. Should probably put them behind where the player lands just so they can turn around and grab it. Nice. How many of those do you need to collect to get a 1-up again, out of curiosity? Hold up. Yep, just wanted to check. Just wanted to know. Now, I'm having so much fun designing this right now. And the cool thing is, too, you have that function. You have the ability for me to save my level to a file and get a snapshot of it, that kind of thing, so that I can share it with anybody else. I can post it for other people to play around with and be like, hey, check out my creation. Play with it, maybe do something special. Are we going for a theme here? Valley, casino, castle, clouds, night, palace. A fire palace, perhaps? We just create an entire level based around these dragons? That's kind of, I think that would work. Yeah, we have a castle for people to run around with that's been taken over by dragons, and it's Kirby's job to get rid of them. Abilities are still easily lost? Maybe. Let me double check that. Let me double check if abilities are still easily lost in this game. No. As a matter of fact, you are entirely good. If you can get hit, I wonder how many times you can get hit and still have your power. Wait a second. Did you just see that? Wait a minute. I think I just came up with an even more interesting idea. Did you just see what that enemy did? If you didn't catch it, allow me to move him to this spot instead and show it off again. Because, if he wakes up... Oh. Now, come on. I want people to see this. Reload. Hop on in. How do I get this guy to wake up? How do I catch his aggro? Not like that. Oh, because he was, you saw that, right? How the enemy's fire breath broke the ability block? How would you design a level around that? That's really cool! Oh, I wanna figure out how to... Get one block closer? Okay. And I should probably give the player an incentive to stand right there, too. So, let's have a fairly valuable item sitting right in that spot. So let's encourage them to get right up in that enemy's face. Still nothing. How do I naturally teach the player that the enemies can break ability blocks? How do I do that? Oh, this would be so cool if I could figure out how to get it to work. My goodness, look at those numbers, by the way. Hello, everybody who's never been to my channel before. Welcome to the Dreamcrafters Showcase. Welcome to me desperately trying to figure out how this game works. Place them as a bridge and then destroy it? I was considering that. I was definitely considering that, Noel. Maybe playing around with the... Because here would be a really interesting version of that. Like, let's say later on in the level we have these guys just sitting here. I'd have to teach the player how they work a little before this, but... these guys don't break the needle blocks. Because that would be the easiest way to put those together. It's like, hey, you don't want to, is it a line of sight thing? It probably is. It probably is a line of sight thing. So let's say I get rid of that block. I don't need these guys here anymore, since I know that's not a, thing that can happen. Because the thing is, I need to be able to prevent the player from killing that guy. Maybe the best way I can do this is actually placing another ability block. A handful of ability blocks right there. Just one. So for now, I think I still want to have this guy in that spot. Place them right next to the wall so that maybe the association in players' minds is even stronger. This guy is actually connected to that thing. Yeah, there we go. Even if you're slow on the draw there, you still catch the idea that, hey, enemies can also interact with these kinds of things if you're not careful. Could still work as a spike bridge. Okay, so we've taught people that, hey, you can break ability blocks with abilities, and that enemies can break ability blocks too. Now how do we take that further? What's the next natural evolution? Do we have them climb up and then ask them to... Let's add one more layer on top of this. Let's evolve the concept even further. Now we're going to ask them to do it under pressure. Now we're going to ask them, hey, can you still make a jump like that with the threat of taking damage if you don't manage to pull it off? Can you pull that off? Do you have this ability? Have you mastered the mechanics of this far enough that you could do such a thing? And because I'm being nice, because this is the first time we're doing this, and who knows, maybe somebody's trying this for the first time, we'll just give them a little reward right at the end there. I'm not going to be so kind on future iterations of the puzzle. But for now, I'm not going to hold it against people if they make one or two mistakes here or there. So all in all, what we've got so far, there's that puzzle. I'd probably have to elongate this level a little further, wouldn't I? That way players wouldn't try to... Hold on, I'm going to have to swap this over to selection. How do I... Yeah, how do I, oh dear. Is there a way to zoom out my view? I think I might have, Yeah, I'm going to have to move this back to 3. I'm going to do that, because I want to elongate that platform a little bit. That way players don't try to blast that block through the environment. They don't try to use their fire powers to break it immediately. That way they have time to actually react to that dude's presence. You can also use WASD to move the camera. Nice! That is, I appreciate that touch. That is way more convenient than the middle mouse button that I've been using. Thank you very much. I don't know why I bothered deleting all of that when I could have just inched it over a little bit. Oh, well, we're committed to this bad mistake, so let's just keep doing it. I could extend the level, but maybe it's better to keep it short and use this as an intro to the concept. Yeah. Now, here's my next question. How do doors work? Does, Oh, I have to set an ID for the door. So if I place another door later on, one would just lead to the other? Let me check that. I'm kind of sending Kirby off to his death here if this works the way I think it's going to. Hey Kirby, guess what? Oh man, I'm getting Mario Maker flashbacks. That's not causing me to have any... I don't have post-traumatic stress disorder about that game at all. Yeah. Sorry if this is a little predictable, by the way, but I like the idea of this being a, it's kind of rudimentary at this point because of all the different tutorials people have put together on places like guys like Mark Brown and whatnot who have done tons of examinations of Mario level design. It's like, hey, take one mechanic and then just expand on it further and further as the level goes on. It's platforming 101, essentially. But still, for somebody, I think it's a good place to start because I haven't really played around with this a lot. I don't understand all of the intricacies of it quite yet. And let's just, let's put a door there. Now that people understand all of the basics of ability blocks, let's take them to a new part of the level. No, get rid of that. What happens if I put in entirely too many doors? What happens if I, wait a second, I get how that's, it's a good way to introduce yourself to level creation too. Yeah. It's the whole, learn to crawl before you can walk kind of thing. Learn to run before you can, and learn to walk before you can sprint as well. So if we're outside, logic dictates that we would then be moving inside the castle, correct? Oh, those are airship tiles, okay. I don't really see anything that looks entirely like this would be castle stonework, but aside from maybe that, what happens if I extend that out even further? Oh, fancy. That almost looks like a... Oh, those are the casino tiles. I gotcha. Fun. You connect them all together and suddenly a picture starts appearing right before your very eyes. So this Dragon Castle idea that we've got going on. Let me just give this one final run through, and this time I'm going to try to break things. This time I'm going to try to find holes in my game design logic. So we burst that open. Could I possibly break that from here? No. Basically the idea, if you want to try to beta test your own levels, the idea is to try and do things that the player would not expect, that you would not expect the player to... I guess that's the fail-safe. Because let's say, for instance, I just slide tackled that guy in the face. Now I'm stuck. Wait. Huh? Oh, because I had the power. I wasn't even trying to glitch that, but, I guess because it's the same button, but you can, you can break ability blocks of the same color if you have the slide. That's a neat little bit of tech. I didn't realize that was a thing. And now I'm wondering if I could just straight up design puzzles around that. Curious. Maybe... So those guys are still here. We got Gordos. Speed. Ah, scroll wheel works just the way you'd expect it to here. Now, what do I want to throw at the player next? Now that they've mastered everything there is to master about how the levels themselves work, about how ability blocks and all of that, maybe it's time to finally start throwing some actual problems at them. They have to start figuring out how to deal with threats using their powers. Try to spit at star blocks or ability blocks? It can do. Yeah, that also works. If it's an enemy of the... Let me double check that. Let me double check your work on that one. So let's say so that guy will break that block, but that guy will not. So every single thing that could possibly be related to a particular power, or ability in this case, interacts with a particular ability block. Alright. I see what you're doing there. That leads to some very interesting possibilities, I think. I would love to play around with that and see what I can come up with. So let's get to designing the rest of the level, shall we? Let's cut that out of there. Oh, that is so much better. I can just hold the button and go. If I were to... No, let's remove those. Kirby rooms feeling claustrophobic has never been a great thing. I wonder if there's the ability to add... Is there the ability to add... I don't believe there are mini-bosses in the game yet. No. There's no potential to keep a door locked until I defeat a particular enemy in the room, correct? I can't set up arenas for the player quite yet. Which means all of the challenge is going to come from... All of the challenge is going to come from the design itself. And the enemies that I pit the player against, so... What would be... I don't want people to lose their firepower. What's a challenge I can put in their way that would not... The clock mini-boss is still in the code? Interesting. Let's put a couple of these guys in there. Let's elevate one, too. So you can't just wipe them all out in one. Let's put a couple of flippy-dippy bouncy enemies towards the player. Actually, let's put standard little Waddle Dee in the way. And then we'll put a we'll put another one right here. What is this guy? What's his deal? Wait a second. Why is that Waddle Dee so angry? I'm very curious now. What does he do? Oh no. Oh no. Am I doing a bad? Nah, I guess he ain't so bad after all. Dark Saber, would you believe me if I said for a second that I've had a dream of this happening before, of me messing around with somebody's fan game, and then I just add in a random element, and they're like, good luck with that. What is this guy? What is this super evil Waddle Dee? He went down in one hit just like his brother. Is he insta-kill or something? He just does way more damage than the other one? I had a feeling that was it. I had a feeling that was an insta-kill D or something. So, what's the flip button again? R. R. So, apologies, that's not one I use very often. There we go. That would probably be the mini-boss I put in the Waddle Death. I like that. I like that a lot. You know, if I was gonna put a fast D in here, I'd probably want to put him up above. Right? I want to put him, I'd want to essentially make him a guard for the... I'd essentially want to make a Fasty a guard for the second door. And just to make sure people still have their power, one more dragon right there, so that we have some fire to work with going into the next areas. I've got a base... I'm kind of straying away from our ability block concept. But we're sort of, No, I've got it. I know what we do. We have time... The player will have time to register that he's there. And that he's, Hang on a minute. And push this back just a little bit. I want there to be something of a series of steps leading up there, just in case people don't know how Kirby's float works. Because we're sort of teaching them something about how the Waddle Dee enemies work as well. This one's specifically walking away from the player at first so that he's easier to recognize and deal with. Remember to set... Ah, right. Thank you for catching that. I would have completely forgotten. Add platforms? A little bit of a vague suggestion, but I think I can make that work for you. And then we'll set the ID to 1 for this door. And then we can just set that in the corner of whatever this room's going to end up being. Clear out room after room of all of the Dragos. Eventually, we'll start playing around with the room layouts, too. We'll start messing with the player by being like, hey, this room starts you off in the top left corner instead. Or, no, maybe, let's set a story. Let's do some environmental... No, I can't in this room. We've already designed it in such a way that... Well, no, we could... Hang on. Let's flip it around. Because you'd be entering the castle, and then you'd be going deeper and deeper into it. So you'd just be going down and down through all of the hallways and going up and over and through. Right up until you reach the final room in the game where the evil Waddle Death is trying to stop you from reaching the end. Slightly bigger room there, I think. But always moving from left to right, as is platformer tradition. Yeah. Now, this is going to be a lot of moving things around, but we can make it work. Just painstakingly pull the stairs from one side of the level to the other. It adds so much more. It really does to have this be to be able to use mouse controls for this. I think the original Super Mario Maker was actually really tactile, I think is the word I'm looking for in that sense, because you had that precision to work with during creation. Maybe I should take the Fast D and put him up here in this little arena. No, I should have the real threat. I should have the real threat, the more challenging enemy, be sitting there right at the bottom. I should give player the entire room to be able to react to the fast-moving Waddle Dee, because he's more unpredictable. These guys are just here to teach you, hey, this enemy goes down in one hit. Here's another Drago to work with in case you lost your power somewhere along the way. And then here's this guy who challenges you a little further. So we're building and building. Learn how to break ability blocks, learn how to fight enemies during your particular ability, and then we can combine the two in this room. We can use this room as sort of a combination of those two elements and put them together into one big challenge. Let me just double check everything that I've built so far. Make sure it's as enjoyable as I think it is. Well, I should probably... Hang on. This is why you do periodic double checks. Room's a little too high, it looks like. Can't just jump up there without having to go into the floating animation, so... And then... Yeah. So we didn't need to bring down the other platform, and I kind of want that to be a little more exact. I want the player to have to work for that one. Because I want to introduce a... Here's why. I want to introduce... Well, okay, let me test if that's even possible first and foremost. Because there was a really cool room in the original Kirby's Adventure. Can I chain fireballs together? Yes, I can. So I can go in one direction with one fireball and then turn around and hit it in the other way. That is going to make the final room of this castle a lot more fun. That is going to add a very interesting little layer to this final room. Let's do this. My goodness, 25 viewers here. Guys, hello. Welcome to the channel. Hi, I'm Whatthefnu. Man. Okay. Okay, Fnu. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Don't stress out. Just whatever you do, don't drop racial slurs or throw your cat around the room. You'll be fine. It's okay. You can manage to be a decent human being for 5 minutes while the rest of the world is watching you. Nah, we're actually pretty chill around here. Most of the time, we just kind of mess around and play with whatever, really. Oh, right. I almost forgot about that. I forgot that, Fast D is actually up there. You know what? Let's test these rooms out. I think we've pretty much mastered, Oop. There we go. Thank you. Bingo. Yeah. Alright. Somewhat of a more decent slowly bringing things up. Slowly getting to a new level. And what do we do next? I know how I want the room to end. I'll say that much. I know what I want to add to the end of this room. And I should probably build that challenge up first. Because the crux of everything else relies on it. So I'm gonna put, we should probably make it narrow so that there's less room for somebody to mess this up, but I'm trying to be nice to the player here and just be like, hey, I'm gonna throw you... Oh, wait. Okay. Because then I'm going to take... Somehow they're going to... I kind of want them to go in one direction, turn around, hit another one. I want them to pull sort of an elongated S as they go through this chamber. An enemy that was in the previous demo's not here? Oh man, which one was it? Out of curiosity. You know, if I wanted to do this, I'd have to make them all part of the same platform, now that I think about it. So what I'd have to do... Like, let's break this down step by step, what I'm trying to accomplish here. So let's put some spikes there. You see what I'm getting at now? And then some blocks here. More platforms, and then spikes on top of that. But there would have to be something that's preventing the player from just jumping straight down to the bottom. So we have this whole bit right there. So you see what I'm trying to ask the player to do is like hop on in, fire a fireball that way, fire another one to get into the door. And just before the boss fight, I'm going to give them a 1-up. Just for getting... No, 1-ups are rewards for getting through the whole level, right? The enemy that explodes when you approach him? Oh, are you talking about... Oh, what are their names? The little No, I'm thinking of the clown-looking guys who are all happy until you try to eat them. No, that's something else entirely. I'm drawing a blank, dude. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to more builds of this. You think you guys will be at next year's Sage too? For now, let's build some stairs up here. Maybe throw another enemy right at the top for that players have to deal with. Let's let's give him a big boy. Let's give him a big boy to have to reckon with. Enemy's name is Search. Okay. Let's put a big boy right at the top and one more dragon. And what do we make the rest of the room out of? This guy kind of looks like he fits the theme, doesn't he? Put one of those above the player. Create a little back and forth type room. You know? You have to climb up and then around. Because they're not just going to give that to you. Yeah, and then you drop down here. I kind of want to... Man, if I do that, though, I have no room for a little mini challenge. I have no room to test the player. I want to put a one-up challenge somewhere in this room. I want there to be a place that a one-up is in, maybe guard it by a Gordo. A sort of test your luck kind of thing. Like, how confident... Now that you've gone through all of this, how confident are you in your ability to break open these blocks? Maybe, on the way down, here's how this works. You have to time your... Yeah, this is a way of testing the player early. So you have to time your fireball to get in here, because if you aim it incorrectly, you'll set the Gordo loose and then you're in trouble. Make it in its own challenge room? Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good idea. This is why I love having the chat here, thank you. Yeah, okay, so... We'll place a Gordo here just as an early sort of, Man, I kind of wish, Hold on. Maybe I should place... What's a good place to introduce the player to this particular hazard? Maybe right here. Let's just put a Gordo right there, and let's trap him in. Let's trap him in that exact spot. Just teach the player early on, hey, here's an enemy that you can't quite fight using normal means. Here's an enemy that will resist your ability to damage it with any kind of attack. And there's such a wide gap between him and the ceiling that he's working with that you have room to... that it's very easy to get around this Gordo. That way, when I place one here a little later, it's more of a daunting task. The player thinks, maybe I won't deal with that guy because it's, there's less of a gap to work with. Or I'm doing it from a fall, so am I confident enough in my movement that I think I could sneak past this dude? Oh, it is cool, Mig. It is incredibly cool. Welcome to the chat, by the way. Thanks for being here. So this over here is door number 2. I should probably keep them in order they show up in the level. Let's give this a door ID of 3. Meanwhile, the little bonus room that I've built. Here's a little bonus room for you to see. What do I make the bonus room out of? Maybe create like a little storage area for people to hop and bop around in. I think that would be a nice little challenge. My secret tomato storage. Hey, Rafa. Cage from the Sage Interact page. Welcome, man. That's really cool that they do that kind of thing. As like, I know some promotions, they help put the streamer out there and say, hey, this person's live right now, you should go check them out. I'm glad people actually decided to interact with that. Nice to see you all here. Welcome, welcome. That's really cool you guys decided to be a part of this, because I don't know if I mentioned this already, but it was a member of my community who's in the chat right now, Cabby Ribby, who actually helped put this together. They were a big part of this project and just contacted me out of the blue, being like, hey, I built this thing with the rest of my team. I contributed to it. It would be really cool if you played it on your stream. And I was like, heck yeah, man. You beat me to making a video game, like you and the rest of the guys who contributed to this kind of thing. In fact, I have the page here. I don't know if do you want me to read out? What is that? Hey, Rafa! Thanks for the follow, man, and I apologize in advance. Not entirely sure what for yet, but we'll figure it out together. What am I gonna build the bonus room out of? What do I want the challenge to be? What are the elements that I've introduced to the players so far? So they know about how these guys work at this point. They know stars are good, they know these things restore health, they know Gordos are bad. Gordos are invincible and cannot be dealt with normally, so do we create a puzzle? So the puzzle I was trying to initially put together back there is I wanted players to try to be more careful with, I wanted to create a puzzle where players had to be really careful which blocks they break. Because if they're not, they'll release some Gordos from their captivity, and then they're in trouble. Then they have some, can you fireball through Gordos? That is a question that's really worth asking. Hold on, let's create a little test area here where I can see if that's a thing. Where I can just start Kirby off and see if it's at all possible to do exactly that. Gordo there. You there. And hey, Curbs. Yeah, I'm just gonna drag you down here, buddy. Yeah, you can actually shoot directly through Gordos. Oh, that adds another fun little layer to this bonus room. That's a bit of an advanced technique. I don't think people would realize that. Oh, so maybe somebody hops in here and let's say they... Let's say they see both of these Gordos right here. Yeah, we teach them, hey, you can do this. Fireball has more properties than you think it does. Can you do it one way and then the other? And let's just add... At the back of this room, we'll add a couple stars and a 1-up. Just for people who figure out the entire puzzle. One there. I should probably, hold on. I have to constantly double check myself here and make sure that I'm not making this too hard and that people always have the resources that they need. Because what if you lost it somewhere? You know, what if you just slammed your face directly into... Should probably clean all of this up. I mean, it's cool to look around in other people's editors and see their test levels and stuff, but I just, I have the ability to make it clean. It's just a personal preference kind of thing. What if you lost your fireball in here, but you somehow managed to get yourself back into the door? Just every possible variable I want to account for. It might be excessive. I may be designing a little too much, but... And then... I like my staircases, don't I? I've built a lot of this area around the idea of ascending up and then down, and I don't really have a lot of straight runways, do I? Maybe? Is there a way to create a door... Is there a way to create an invisible door? A door of no return? Is my next question. I scroll over this... Oh. Oh, that's what the scroll wheel does with the doors. It lets me set a different assigned ID to them. Wait. I've got it. I know what the challenge is. Like, okay, hear me out on this one. Also, sup, Lee? How you doing, buddy? I know what the challenge is going to be for this bonus room. All right, so I want to design the okay. I'm getting way ahead of myself right now. I'm super excited and I can't even find the words for it, but let me get rid of all this. I'm still gonna have the one up in the stars in the little corner there. I also kind of have to skedaddle this because I've only got 40 minutes left in this show. But essentially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place these here. And then one of these guys, right? So I open up with having that guy right there and then some ability blocks. And some Gordos right in front of it. And people will sit there and think, well, surely I can't just fireball straight through the Gordos, right? I have to put players in a moment of peril. I feel like, again, I have to trick them into doing it. So, I'm gonna make the player jump for it. I'm gonna make them hop over a pit of spikes in order to get at this particular platform. That way, because they recognize that, I'm sort of building a language in the level now. You know what I mean? I'm sort of teaching them intrinsically now, hey, if you see a group of spikes like this and some fire blocks at the end, because you've done it once before in the level already. If you see this setup, you know exactly what to do here already. I almost feel like I should place that down a little further now, just to make it look even more like what they've already dealt with once before. You know? Because then, once they realize that they can dash through Gordos like that... Hey, Guardian! Yeah, great to see you too, buddy. Nice to have you here, man. Always cool to see a familiar face. Glad you could pop in for the Sage stuff. I don't know why I'm doing this, but, why I'm having the one... Do they collide with each other is my next question. Right, so this is how I wanted the end of this to be. This is the ultimate test right here. Make it nice and claustrophobic for the player. Can you figure... It's like you get yourself into this situation. You've already had to fireball through these Gordos to get to the other side. Now can you do it precisely in order to reach this door at the end? Oh, I have all these variables to work with. I can do 63 doors. Now, you can kind of cheese this puzzle is the only problem. If I have to have a door that... I guess I could just drop players right there. There's no way to enter that thing again. Or maybe I could just hide it behind blocks? Will the door still be there if I do this? Is there an undo function in this? Don't believe there is, no. Good enough. That'll work. Job's goodin'. And last but not least, we need one more door. We need one more room, a little boss fight room against Kirby's mightiest nemesis in existence. He's gone through all of this time, all of this trouble, and now he reaches the great arena where he will do battle against the terrifying Waddle Death. I'll have door 3 drop him off right here at the top of this room. And even worse, I'll make him fast and give him the ability to jump. So it's the closest thing to a boss fight that we can get right now. But if he manages to beat this guy, he's right there and he's guarding Kirby's most precious treasure in the world. A Maxim tomato. That's the end of the level. That's what I've got. Hey, go ahead, Cabby. This is pretty much about promoting your guys' game anyway, so... Oh, I think that's it. I think I've got my level. Now it's time to start looking for the problems. And you know what? I think I'm gonna set some music for this one. What is a song that I recognize? That seems a little extreme, but... Or that's a little hard? I love how this series constantly references itself in other places. As much as I love Squeak Squad, that would make more sense if we had some of the characters here. That would also make way more sense if we were dealing with Taranza and Queen... Oh, I don't remember her name! Ah, man. I almost had it. Yeah, that's nice and playful. I can dig that one. Let's go with that. All right, everybody, here we go. First attempt at Dragon Castle. You know, sans backgrounds. We still need to clean up the level. Now that I've got the actual function of everything figured out, we can start playing around with how to clean it up and make it look nice and pretty. I can just skip that guy altogether. Ooh. Yeah, that gets the player to stop, and that gives them plenty of time to notice this door over here, too. That's the other cool thing about that particular challenge right there, is you might not even notice. Like, you might just hit it by accident. Oh, hey, where'd our giant Waddle Dee go? Wait a second, where'd he disappear to? Uh-oh. Okay. Whew. Oh, I panicked there for a second because WASD wasn't moving the camera properly. I think it's because I was in a completely different menu. I don't seem to have that functionality even when I'm working on backgrounds here, so... Okay. Queen Sectonia, that was her name. Right. I remember now. Let's move this a little... No, you know what? I'm gonna ask that of the player. If they want this, they're gonna have to do it, they're gonna have to do it right. That drops us off here, but why aren't you available? What's your beef? Is the area just too small, or... Well, it's not gonna... The level's not gonna look as nice. But at least the challenge that we wanted to be there will actually be there. It's like you spend all that time putting something together, and then you get to play through it finally, and it actually feels really good. That's the best feeling in the world. When this thing you've created is finally here in your hands, like, you made something. It's yours. Nobody else can claim it. This is your specific experience that you put together for the world to enjoy. Yeah, he's still not there. Did I despawn him or something? Huh. Maybe that guy just doesn't work. Well, in that case, what else can I put there that's a bit of a challenge? I'd say... Nope, not that button. Whoops. Maybe just a jumping Waddle Dee? Give you a little trouble while you're going up the stairs? Hell, we know that guy works properly, so let's clean that up and make it look nice. Yeah, put him right at the top, and give him one little extra ability. This way we can teach players about, hey, Waddle Dees can do that too if you're not careful. I think leaving the room enemies were in kills them. Oh dear. So what you're saying is I need to put him a little farther back. Wait, but this door is on this side. Do I need to... Does it cross over because it's so close to the line, maybe? Let's test it with this guy. Let's put him right at the top there, and I'll even move Kirby down a little bit so we can get to this a little faster. Let's put you right there. Oh, whoa! What the? What? Whoa! That's weird. Hang on. I think that's because this room doesn't have a proper ceiling. Let's go with that. Maybe that'll work properly. Yeah, okay. Now they stay in their own dimension. Yeah, no, that guy works just fine. I think it's just a problem with the big dude. Or maybe it's not. Let's put him in a much more open area. Let's give him all the space in the world to work with. And we'll see if he spawns in properly. Nah, he does. I guess he just needs more space. Give this dude lots of room. Ah, well, jumping Waddle Dee's fine. That way I'm also pre-warning the player that, hey, this guy's trouble. Alright, one more time. Alright, let's try it again. Castle Dragon. Attempt 2. I'm sad I never came up with any idea of what to do with that. I never came up with any design elements that involved having the enemies break apart the level environment. I had that one idea of the spike bridge, but it didn't quite work out the way I wanted it to. Ooh, careful now. And that's why I didn't notice the enemies falling through before, because I already defeated them. Nice. That guy's a little bit of a challenge, too, because he's got verticality on his side. Oh, yeah! Oh, that feels so good, dude. And there he is. Ba 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 ba. Got him. You did it, Kirby. In 1 minute 15. Nice. Nice. Castle Dragon, everybody. I think I'm gonna save that now. Let's call it, Dragon Castle. Creator, let's say Whatthefnu. Although there is one small thing I forgot to do. One small thing I forgot to do. That is not the true form of Waddle Death. That is not even all of his power. I forgot that you need to check both of those before you place him. And I'm gonna say this because of that little snafu I had in this earlier room up here. The fact that I couldn't tell the difference between the fast Waddle Dee down here and these slow-moving guys, I think I would like if you guys would add little tags to these guys somehow. Just something to visually differentiate them. Like, you know how when look how when I go to place a new door, it has the 0, or it tells me what the door's ID is. If there was just like a little F or a J attached to the Waddle Dees so that I could know what special properties are attached to them, that'd be awesome. Just a little feedback. I'm also gonna put a platform here just in case players run forward immediately. Should probably cordon that off then so that nobody gets any funny ideas. Also, there, now it's flush. Now it looks like how it's supposed to. I also just realized I should probably do that to this side as well. That way players don't fall to the left. And, or maybe not. I mean, they can just fly themselves out. This, where you dash over the spikes, reminds me of a cave story stage. Are you thinking of hell? Like that little bonus level if you do everything else? Alright, so now I'm going to take Kirby and I'm just going to bring him to the boss chamber here. First, I need to make sure that my platform actually functions properly. Yep, there we go. I specifically have to choose to go after him. Alright, good. I have to make that conscious decision to jump down. That way I have enough time to register, like, all of this dude's abilities. By the way, oh, I guess there's no point. I had a retweet command planned for the chat, but it's like, we've only got half an hour left in the stream anyway, so there's really no point sharing it now. Ah, well. I sent out a tweet on my own personal Twitter and everything. Yeah, by the way, speaking of Discords, I do have one thing. Cabby Ribby dropped the Discord for the development of this game, but if you're interested in the kind of thing that I do, I have a community as well. We're pretty chill most of the time. My commentary style will pretty much be more of this. I have a series, like, if you're interested in this kind of thing, I have a series that I do every single Wednesday called DevQuest, where I'm basically making my own video game, not in anybody else's engine either. I'm just building it pretty much from scratch. A magical girl RPG, but I'm not going to get too much into that. It feels like it's in kind of poor taste to promote your own stuff during somebody else's marathon, you know? Seems like the kind of a no-no. There was no specific rule about it on the website, but that just feels kind of meh. Alright, well, I guess all that's left now is to design the background itself, yeah? Make the level nice and pretty. So how's about we throw one of them, and then some of these. Now, where are the points I want? Oh, it runs flush. If you just do it like that. Although they don't flip is the problem I'm noticing. There aren't a whole lot of background tiles to work with, are there? It feels like it's... I almost wish there was an easy mode version of this. I almost wish there was a way to just be like, hey, I just want to press a button and apply a theme to this whole level, instead of having to place down every single one individually. And it doesn't, like, set it in stone that, hey, this is what you're using now. It just kind of fills in the blanks, as it were, with a general idea of, like, hey, this is, oh, I want a castle theme. Okay, we'll just, we'll fill in the sky with clouds and blue skies, and then a couple spires here and there, and you can just draw over it from there as you wish. That'd probably be hell to program, but if you can pull it off, that would be a very nice thing to have there, I think. Let's have that guy facing forward at first. That way you have to address each of these guys one at a time. And I think that's it. Dragon Castle. I wonder why it doesn't remember the name that I put in. Just goes back to default every time. Let's play one more time. Feels like there should be more here, you know? This big opening area feels kind of empty. I'm sure if I had all the time in the world, I could apply little tweaks and changes and bits and pieces here and there. Improve it bit by bit until it just feels absolutely wonderful. But for, well, slammed right into that guy, didn't I? Maybe that's a problem with my level's design, because I've noticed it's a little difficult to avoid that. Or maybe it just teaches the player, hey, try to be a little more cognizant of the world around you. Like, look beyond, look at what you're dashing into. I guess that's my one big regret about the final boss battle that I came up with against Whatthefnu, is it doesn't really play around with all the mechanics that the player has been taught over the rest of the level, you know? All you need to do is hit him once with the fire. Ooh, not quite what I wanted to do, but that works. And I stole it. The great heist. I wonder if I could do that. I guess now all that I have left is let's just, let's try and master my own level. Let's do some speedruns. Let's try and get through it as quickly as possible. Ignore the secrets, ignore the stars, all of the items I don't need. Get in the door. Let's learn some Kirby tech. Oop. There we go. What's the best time I can achieve? Maybe there's a way to just work my way around that, dude. I'm pretty sure time would end as soon as you grab the tomato. Oh my god, you weren't kidding. That dude kills you as soon as you land on him. As soon as he lands on you. Maybe your time doesn't count if you don't kill Whatthefnu as well. I don't know. This is why I'm not on SDA already. I'm no good at creating new speed categories. Yeah, that's pretty much everything. You have to place a star door. Has that been... That's been here the whole time, and I didn't even realize. I didn't even realize that was a thing, Cabby. Holy crap, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know. I did not even know. But hey, at least it stacks up with the tomato there. All right, once more. This time we're actually going to set the time. World record, baby. Come on. This brand hot new category in Kirby Dream Crafters. This record that will never be challenged likely by anybody but myself. But hey, a man can dream, right? I can hold the world record in something. Just ignore it. Damage boost. Damage boost. Let's go. Save those frames. Don't even bother with the medicine. He's dead. And we win. You even put the minigame in there. Dude. 45 seconds, baby. World record. We got it. We did it, everybody. All right. That's, you know, I feel kind of, there are all of these other mechanics and all of these other enemies that I just completely ignored over the course of this stream. So how's about we start off with a brand new layout here, just by itself, and we'll create a little environment to play around in. A little test area to play around with some of the other mechanics and see how they interact with one another. Like that, like this guy right here, who you may remember, I believe, he made his first appearance in Kirby 64. Oh dear. Oh, that just straight up, that guy just pushes you clean through collision. Oh my. Could you use that to your advantage, though? What if I did this? What if the only way to beat the level... Yeah, Pillow! Alright, you weren't here for the rest of the stream. Yeah, Clean is in this game. So if he, well, now he's too close, but what if I just, yeah, he push... Dude! Oh, that's... So he doesn't kill you immediately. He just pushes you from one level to the next. So you could do it like something like this. You could make him immediately deadly by putting him the only safety barrier between you and the level below. Like, there's no safety barrier. You could do that. You could also do a puzzle type thing where you have to figure out how to get around them so that you can grab something at the end. Like, let's say you put a 1-up on the top path that you couldn't get if one of them had pushed you through. Imagine a boss battle where you need to use that guy to get to a lower level to dodge projectiles. Yeah, exactly. The possibilities, man. That's what I love about engines like this, is just futzing about and messing around with the mechanics and figuring out how everything interacts with one another. So let's say, like, one of these doors is the real door. One of these doors is the fake door. How do you get to the room? How do you get to the real door and end up actually beating the level? Well, my friend, I'll tell you. Let me introduce you to a little guy called that. So just as a small little example of everything, we'd probably... Actually, let's switch that around. I could probably get rid of that. It kind of irks me, because it doesn't seem like I can swap between the two modes. It doesn't go back and forth between setting an enemy if I press B. It just sends me into the individual tile selection mode and just sticks there. So just as a small little example of that, you might run straight into that door not realizing it's an enemy. Uh-oh. Floor wasn't thick enough, I take it. Try placing a star block in front of Shatso? Oh, yeah. That would probably be... Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, no. So, fast would be it tracks your position almost immediately, as opposed to just the gradual moving towards you kind of thing. Burst would be the boom, boom, boom. 3 shots every little bit. But the little more of a spacing in between. And tracking would... No, fast would be less time between shots, correct? So you've just got this hyper-aggressive Shatso in the middle of the room. Left side of those grass tiles lack collision. Looks like it's working fine to me. So let's, that would be an interesting puzzle room. Now my mind is swimming with possibilities again. Now I'm thinking, what if you just buried this dude in star blocks? What if you covered him in these things? So the Shatso is desperately trying to dig its way out of the star blocks to try and get at Kirby. What the... What? I assume it's not supposed to be doing that. Oh, well. Shatso, you okay, buddy? Streamers. They're the best beta testers you never paid for. Alright, what else we got to work with here? Shatso too. Or not enough. That's the other possibility. So what's the known list of glitches that you guys are working with right now? Like, what are you guys aware of that you just haven't gotten around to fixing quite yet? Just out of curiosity. Right, okay, this guy didn't get his chance to shine earlier, so I'm just gonna figure out what... So I'm gonna give him a wall to work with, so that he doesn't send himself off into oblivion, or any other enemies that we're testing in the future, for that matter. And then we're gonna see what... Okay, then. So for the 3rd time, there we go. Yay! He learned. I know how not to walk to my death, everybody. What's this guy's whole deal? Hang on a second. Yo, buddy, you got a special mechanic, or... Nah, he just seems to be walking around without a care in the world. Those were supposed to be for making trees. Oh. I see. That's why you can go through. So what I'm supposed to be doing with these is... You know what? That makes a lot more sense. I get it. Yeah. 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 So I should have been doing is something like that, maybe? Or maybe something like, one of those? Does that do anything for you? Yep. Place it. Oh! Oh, his hat! I get it now. Rabby, once again, I am very glad that you're here, because I never would have figured this out without you. And then we already know how this guy works. You know what? Let's just put one of you up there. Just for ambiance. That was the only thing Dragon Castle was missing, is just having a Kiki right there. Right at the beginning. Because that's just a tradition in the levels like that. Just so high up, the player couldn't even really react to her. Or interact with her at all. Just a nice little touch for to be in the level. In fact, I think I'm just going to leave her there. Let her float around and do her own thing. So what happens if you just run pell-mell into the fake door? Yep. Explodes into a star. I thought he might, like, eat you or something. And from that point forward, Kirby would just be contemplating every single door. Like, oh god, what's gonna happen? Is this actually a way forward, or am I just, You know, I think we've got about 10 minutes left before this stream ends, so I think there's only one way that we can handle, there's only one way that we can, end things off. We need to just, let's just, let's just blow it all up. Let's just blow everything up. Later, Noel. Thanks for being here, buddy. How badly is this gonna go? Kiki's just up there like, well, I'm fine. And now we're here together. Kiki, you are my only friend. No, I don't want your hugs. They're deadly. We can never be together. Don't you understand this? If we ever touch, you will explode, and then I'll be alone in this hellhole. This is for you. I do it for you so you can be happy. Alright, everybody. I think that's just about everything, isn't it? We've touched on every single mechanic there is to show, unless you count something like maybe icy floors, but that just about does it for Dreamcrafter. I'm super... Oh, thank goodness. Hey, you know what's not here? Ice physics. And I'm A-okay with that. Alright, thank you all for showing up to this tonight. It's been a blast. This was a lot of fun. Cabby, thank you again for showing your, I don't want to call it your team. It's the team that you are a part of. And that's something cool. I don't want to, we are definitely over the threshold to do a raid right now. Usually, we try to aim for over 7 people, but there's probably somebody queued up right after me in the schedule, so I'm just gonna let them have their time in the sun. All I'm gonna say is, thank you to everybody who showed up for this. This has been a blast. I cannot wait to see what else is done with this in the future, and hey, download it as quick as you can, because if this progresses far enough and gets good enough, oh, I don't want to hazard a guess as to what Nintendo's gonna do. That is the one dark cloud hanging over this whole thing, but now is not the time to talk about that kind of thing. Thank you to my new followers tonight. Thank you for everybody who showed up to this. Thank you, Sage2019, for giving me this opportunity to put this in front of so many people. And, yeah, I guess I will see you guys on Wednesday for DevQuest and continuing on that Magical Girl RPG I'm working on. Until then, I'm Whatthefnu. Later, everybody.